Joran Hale lived a quiet life on the edge of the frontier colony. His home sat near the desert cliffs, far from the busy marketplace, and even farther from the spaceport. He liked it that way. He was a mechanic who loved fixing broken things, and peace helped him think. He never expected anything exciting to happen in his life. But one bright morning, everything changed. The message had come 2 weeks earlier, telling him he had been matched in the interspecies marriage program. He had not asked for it. The colony used these agreements to keep peace with different alien empires, and sometimes people were chosen without warning. Joran was told only one thing. His partner would arrive soon, and he should prepare a room. He spent days cleaning, worrying, and wondering what kind of person would be sent to him. He imagined many possibilities, but none prepared him for what stepped off the transport ship. The ground shook when she landed. A tall dragon woman walked down the ramp. Her scales shone like metal in the sunlight. She wore armor that looked old and royal, with glowing marks running along her arms and neck. Her wings folded behind her back, large enough to cast a shadow over him. Her eyes were golden and sharp, almost glowing. This was Saren of the Draken Imperium. Every human at the landing area went silent. Even the wind felt afraid to move. Joran tried not to stare, but he had never seen someone so powerful and strange. She did not look angry, but she looked tense, like someone unsure what would happen next. A small device on her belt translated her voice. "You are Joran Hale?" Joran swallowed hard, then nodded. "Yes. Welcome to the colony." She looked around slowly, her expression unreadable. She seemed confused by everything. The noise of the vehicles, the open space, and the humans staring at her. She shifted her weight, and her claws clicked softly on the metal floor. Joran stepped closer, trying to look calm. "If you're tired, we can go to my home. It's quiet there." Saren hesitated. Quiet sounds acceptable. People watched as the two walked together. Joran could feel everyone's eyes on them, but Saren did not seem bothered. She walked with careful steps, as if afraid her strength might break anything she touched. When they reached the transport rover, she paused. The vehicle was small compared to her size, but she folded her wings and slid inside with surprising grace. Joran noticed she kept her hands close to her chest, almost like she didn't trust anything around her. The drive to his home was silent. Joran tried to start conversations, but she answered only with short words. He did not blame her. This was a strange place for her, and she did not know him at all. When they reached his house, Saren stepped out and looked around. The house was simple, a small metal structure with a workshop attached. Saren looked at it with tight lips, maybe expecting something grander. Joran suddenly felt embarrassed. "It's not fancy," he said, "but it's safe. And it's yours too now." Saren did not answer. She followed him inside. The moment she stepped through the door, she froze. Joran looked at her, confused. Her wings stiffened, her claws curled, and her chest rose as she took a sharp breath. Her eyes locked onto something on the table, his large, heavy toolkit. It was open, showing metal tools, wrenches, cutters, clamps, and strange devices that shined under the light. Saren stepped back slowly, fear rising in her eyes. Joran blinked. "What's wrong?" She pointed a shaking claw at the tools. "Why do you have those? Why leave them out like a warning?" "A warning?" Joran asked, puzzled. "It's just my toolkit. I fix machines for work." Saren stared at him, disbelief and panic mixing on her face. She looked like someone who had stepped into danger. She moved closer to the wall, keeping her eyes on the tools as if expecting them to be used on her. Joran realized something important. In her culture, tools like those must mean something different, something bad. He raised his hand slowly. "Saren, I promise, those are not for you. I only use them on machines. Engines, doors, pipes, things like that." Saren did not move. She studied him as if trying to decide if she could trust him. Her tail dropped low, showing confusion and fear, something she probably hated showing. Joran walked to the toolkit gently and closed it. "See? It's fine. Let me show you." He picked up a small wrench and walked to a loose panel near the door. Without touching her or coming close, he tightened the screws on the panel so she could see the tool in action. "It's for repairs," he said softly. Not for harm. Sarenth watched with wide eyes. When she saw the panel tighten and the light stop flickering, her body slowly relaxed. She let out a breath she had been holding for a long time. I misunderstood, she said quietly. It's okay, Joran said. Different worlds have different meanings. For the first time, her eyes softened. She lowered her wings, letting them rest comfortably. She looked at him in a new way, not as a threat, not as a stranger, but as someone who might be safe. Joran gave a small smile. Come on, let me show you the rest of the house. Sarenth nodded slowly. Their first day together had begun with fear, but something else had started too. Something small, fragile, and unexpected. Trust. Sarenth entered Joran's home carefully, as if every step might trigger a hidden danger. Her wings stayed half-raised, not in anger but in caution. She was a warrior from a proud dragon empire. Yet in this small human house, she looked unsure, almost fragile. Joran noticed it and moved slowly so she would not feel trapped. He led her to the main room. The windows looked out at the desert, and the soft orange evening light made the room warm and calm. Joran hoped it would help her relax. She glanced around, taking in every detail. The furniture, the glowing lamp, the small plants, and the clean floor. This place is peaceful, she said quietly. Joran smiled a little. I tried to make it that way. Her eyes softened, but the tension in her shoulders stayed. Joran could see she was ready to react at any moment. He did not want her to feel scared in a place that was supposed to be her home. Are you hungry? He asked. She hesitated. I consumed rations before I arrived. You can eat again, he said gently. Food helps the heart. Sarenth did not understand the saying, but something in his tone told her he was not trying to trick her. She nodded slightly. Joran walked to the small kitchen and opened the heating unit. Sarenth watched him with careful eyes. When he picked up a metal pot, she tensed again. He saw it and stopped. It's just a pot. For cooking. Her claws loosened. Forgive me. In my world, tools like that are used differently. Joran did not push for answers. He understood that she carried a heavy past, one filled with fear and memories she did not want to speak about yet. Instead, he began cooking a simple meal, warm bread pieces, soft vegetables, and a mild sauce. The smell filled the air. Sarenth inhaled slowly. This scent is gentle. That's the idea, Joran said, smiling. She watched him move. His actions were steady and calm. He did not rush. He did not raise his voice. He did not make loud noises. Every small motion showed respect. It confused her. In the Draken Imperium, strength was shown by force and volume. But here, kindness was strength. When he handed her a plate, she studied it. You share your food. This is a sign of trust among my people. It's also a sign of welcome among mine, he answered. She took a small bite. The food was softer than what she was used to. Dragon warriors ate heavy, intense meals to fuel their power. This food felt gentle, almost comforting. She ate slowly at first, then more naturally. This is pleasant, she admitted. Joran's smile widened. I'm glad. The silence between them changed. It was no longer tense, but warm. After they ate, Sarenth moved to the window. She looked out at the desert, where the sky turned purple as night approached. Her golden eyes glowed softly in the fading light. In my world, she said, quiet places like this do not exist. There's always noise, always training, always orders. Joran leaned against the wall. That sounds hard. It is all I have ever known, she replied. A warrior must be strong. A bride must be useful. Fear is not allowed. She lifted her hand, staring at her own claws. But today, I felt fear. Her voice shook slightly. She hated showing weakness, but she forced herself to speak. When I saw your tools, I believed you meant to control me. In the Imperium, humans are not trusted. We are taught that humans are dangerous. Joran did not feel angry. Instead, he felt sad. And what do your people think humans will do? Break us, she whispered. Or use us. Joran stepped closer, but slowly so she would not feel cornered. Sarenth, I don't want to hurt you. Ever. I don't want to use you or control you. You're not a prisoner here. You're free. Her wings twitched softly. Free. She repeated the word as if it were something rare. You can leave when you want. You can stay if you want. But everything we do, it will be by choice. She turned to him, surprise in her eyes. You mean that? I do. For a long moment, she just stared at him. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever given her a choice. She did not know how to react. Suddenly, a loud creak came from the workshop door. Saren snapped into a defensive stance, claws out, wings raised, ready to fight. Joran quickly raised his hands. It's just the old door, he said. It sticks. She blinked, then slowly lowered her wings. Her heart beat fast. She was embarrassed again. I reacted too strongly, she muttered. It's okay, Joran said gently. You've been living in danger for a long time. Your body isn't used to peace yet. His words struck her deeply. She had never thought of it that way. He added, we can take things slow. She nodded. I would like that. Joran walked to a shelf and picked up something small. Here, this might help. He handed her a tiny light crystal, a warm, soft glowing stone. It's a comfort light. Humans use it at night. It keeps the darkness from feeling too heavy. Saren held it carefully. You give this to me? It's yours, he said. Something changed inside her. Not a big change, but a small one, a crack in the wall she built around her heart. Thank you, Joran Hale, she said softly. Your kindness helps. And your courage helps too, he replied. For the first time, she smiled. It was small, shy, and a little unsure, but real. Fear had brought her here. Kindness was beginning to keep her here. Saren woke early the next morning, long before the sun fully rose. Her instincts pushed her to be alert, ready for danger. But when she opened her eyes, she found herself in a quiet room warmed by a soft light crystal. Joran had placed it near her resting spot, and it still glowed gently. For a moment, she simply stared at it. In the Draken Imperium, nothing was gentle. Nothing was warm unless it was fire meant to train or punish. This simple light felt like a gift from another world. She stood up slowly, stretching her wings. They brushed against the ceiling, and she quickly folded them. This home was built for humans, not giant dragon women, and she did not want to break anything. When she stepped out into the main room, she saw Joran already awake. He sat at the table, repairing a small device with steady hands. Tools were scattered neatly around him. Saren watched him work, noticing how calm he looked. Humans use tools like extensions of their hands, not as weapons. Slowly, that fear she felt on the first day softened. You rise before the sun, Joran said without looking up. It is a warrior habit, she replied. Training begins before daylight in the Imperium. He tightened the bolt and set the device aside. Well, here you don't have to train at dawn, unless you want to. She shook her head. No, I do not want to. Joran smiled. Then you're free to rest, explore, or even help me around the workshop. Whatever feels right. Those words still surprised her every time he said them. You're free. She had never heard that phrase in her life. I will observe, she said finally. Joran nodded. He opened a small box with strange metal pieces inside. Saren leaned forward. What is that? She asked. A cooling regulator, he said. It keeps machines from overheating. She blinked. Humans build things that stop fire? He laughed softly. Yes, fire is useful, but too much of it destroys things. She thought about that. In her world, fire was glory, power, and obedience. No one ever tried to stop it. Humans saw fire differently. Humans control fire instead of worshiping it. Humans shape the world with their hands, she said quietly. We try, Joran replied. Later, Joran brought her outside. The morning desert air was cool, and the sun painted the sand in soft gold. Saren felt the warmth on her scales. It was peaceful, unlike the harsh training fields of the Imperium. This world is quiet, she said. And that's rare, Joran answered. Some people like noise. I like space. Saren walked beside him. Her feet made deep prints in sand. His made light ones. Two different beings leaving tracks side by side. Tell me about your world, Joran said gently. She hesitated. Her world was not kind, but he had shared his world with her, so she wanted to do the same. In the Imperium, she began, we are trained from childhood. Every day is a test. You must prove your strength, or you are seen as weak. Joran frowned slightly. That sounds rough. It is all we know. We are taught to obey orders. We are told that humans are dangerous, that humans will use us. Joran scratched his chin. I guess both sides have wrong ideas about each other. Yes, she agreed. I believed humans were cruel. But you are not like that. He looked at her, not with pride, but with understanding. And you're not the monster your people think humans fear. She lowered her gaze. I was always taught to be strong. But strength feels different here. How so? He asked. She placed a hand on her chest. It feels lighter, as if strength can be kindness, not force. Joran's smile was warm. That's exactly how I see it. They walked farther until they reached a tall rock formation. Joran climbed it easily. Saren followed, her claws gripping the stone. When they reached the top, the wind blew gently around them. The desert stretched endlessly. Saren had never seen such open space. Beautiful, she whispered. This was why I bought this land, Joran said. It's simple. It's quiet. It's mine. Saren looked at him. Surprise again. Humans by land? Yeah. In the Imperium, nothing belongs to an individual, not even their life. Joran shook his head. That sounds terrible. It is normal to us, she said softly. But normal doesn't always mean good, he replied. She stared at him for a long moment. He spoke truths she had never been allowed to think about. When they climbed back down, Joran showed her more of his world. He taught her how to use the water dispenser, how to open and close the sliding doors, and how to work the light panels. She was confused at first, then curious, then impressed. Your world uses many small machines, she said. Yeah, they make life easier. In Imperium, we use strength. You used ideas. He laughed. That might be the best compliment humans ever got. As the day went on, Saren felt different. She did not feel like a weapon. She did not feel like a plan made by her empire. She felt like a person learning, choosing, breathing freely. Joran noticed her wings were more relaxed. Her eyes softened when she looked at him. The tension that once held her shoulders high was slowly fading. That evening, when they returned inside, Saren touched the light crystal again. It reminds me of something, she said. What? Hope, she answered. Joran looked at her gently. Is that something you lost? For a long time, she whispered. And now? She looked at him with a soft, unsure smile. Now, I think I am finding it again. Two worlds were learning each other, and both were changing in ways neither expected. The village woke up to a strange sound. It was deep, rough, and full of anger. Eric stepped outside his small home and saw people running, shouting, and pointing toward the northern sky. Smoke was rising in thick black lines, and the air smelled like burning trees. Eric felt his heart jump. Something bad was happening, something big. Lyria came out behind him, her eyes wide and sharp. She looked at the smoke and froze. Her wings pulled slightly open, reacting on their own. Her golden eyes darkened with fear. That is not normal fire, she whispered. That is dragon fire. Eric turned to her quickly. From your clan? She shook her head. No, my clan avoids the human lands. This is from outsiders. Wild dragons or exiled ones. People in the village were gathering in the open area, shouting questions, demanding answers. When they saw Lyria standing beside Eric, some stepped back. Some hid their children behind them. A few pointed in fear, their eyes accusing. It's her, one man yelled. Her kind attracts danger. She brought them here. Send her away before the dragons come for us. Lyria lowered her eyes. She did not argue. She did not defend herself. She simply looked sad. Eric felt anger rise inside him. He stepped in front of her, blocking the hateful stares. She did nothing wrong. Eric said loudly. "We have lived with her for weeks now. She helped our fields. She healed the injured boy. She protected the village from bandits. She is not the enemy." But fear was strong. Fear blinded, and the villagers were too scared to listen. Then the ground shook. A distant roar rolled across the plains, louder than thunder. People screamed and moved back. Lyria's breath caught. "They are coming closer," she whispered. Eric looked at her face and saw something he hadn't seen before. Deep worry, almost pain. She slowly touched the leather necklace she always wore, as if checking something. "What is it?" he asked quietly. "My clan gave me a signal stone," she said. "If other dragons come near, it reacts. It is glowing now. That means the danger is serious." Eric heard more shouting. A group of villagers picked up axes and spears and marched toward him and Lyria. "Move away from her," the leader yelled. "If dragons are coming, they are coming for her. We will not let our families die because of a dragon woman." Eric stood firm, refusing to step aside. You cannot blame her for an attack she didn't cause. But the villagers didn't listen. Their fear was stronger than reason. Lyria gently touched Eric's arm. "Let me speak," she said softly. She stepped forward, even though people trembled at her presence. She bowed her head, showing respect. "I do not want harm," she said, her voice steady but sad. "If you believe I am the danger, I will leave. I will walk far from this place. I will not allow innocent people to be hurt." Eric turned sharply. "No, you don't have to do that." Lyria gave him a small, tired smile. "Maybe I must." Before anyone could respond, another roar ripped through the sky. This time it was close, too close. A shadow passed over them. Everyone froze. A massive dragon flew above the village, dark red and covered in scars. Its wings were torn in places, its eyes glowing with wild hunger. It wasn't like Lyria's kind. This one was wild, untamed, almost insane. The dragon circled once, then let out a blast of fire toward the western fields. Flames rose high. People screamed and ran. Eric grabbed Lyria's hand. "Can you fight it?" Lyria looked up at the wild dragon and swallowed. "He is bigger than me, stronger. But if I do nothing, your whole village will burn." Eric squeezed her hand. "Then we face it together." Lyria shook her head. "You cannot fight a dragon, Eric." "I can help you," he insisted. "I won't let you stand alone." Another roar came from the sky. A second wild dragon appeared, this one smaller but faster, diving low and blowing fire along the outer fence. Houses caught fire. Smoke filled the air. People were crying, running, falling. The village was collapsing in fear and flames. Lyria looked at Eric, her eyes shining. Something changed in her expression, not fear, not sadness. Something deeper. "I have to choose now," she whispered. "My life in this village or the safety of my clan. If I fight here, I reveal myself. The wild dragons will know I side with humans. My clan may punish me for this." Eric stared at her. "And if you don't fight?" Lyria looked at the burning houses. "Then your people die." The decision tore through her heart. She had come here as a bride in an arranged bond she did not want. She had stayed because she was curious. She had opened her heart because Eric was kind. She had learned to live with humans, learn their ways, laugh with them, worked with them, share moments she had never known before. And now she had to decide what she truly was, dragon or human companion. A flaming roof collapsed nearby. A child screamed from inside. Eric ran toward the burning home. Lyria grabbed him and pulled him back before the falling would crush him. "You will die if you rush in like that," she said fiercely. "Then help me," he shouted. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Lyria looked at the fire, the screaming people, the wild dragons destroying everything. She looked at Eric, who had stood by her even when others feared her. Her wings opened wide. Her eyes glowed gold. Her decision was made. She turned toward the sky and let out a powerful roar, strong, bright, full of authority. A dragon's roar. The wild dragons froze for a moment, surprised. Then Lyria rose into the air, wings spreading like a golden storm. ready to protect a village that once feared her and the human who had given her kindness. The battle for the village had begun. Lyria flew into the burning sky with a strong burst of wind. Her golden wings cut through the smoke as she rose higher and higher. The villagers watched in shock. The dragon woman they had feared only moments ago was now the only one brave enough to defend them. Eric stood below, coughing from the smoke, his eyes following her. He felt fear for her, but also something else, something warm and painful at the same time. He did not know what name to give that feeling. The wild red dragon roared and flew toward Lyria. She dodged his first strike, spinning in the air. Her movements were fast and sharp, like lightning. She opened her mouth and released a bright stream of fire. It hit the wild dragon's wing, sending him off balance. The smaller wild dragon tried to attack from behind, but Lyria turned quickly and hit him with her tail. The creature shrieked and fell toward the ground, landing hard in the fields. The villagers watched her in awe. The same people who had shouted at her earlier now stood silent, stunned by her courage. Some whispered, "She's protecting us." Others felt ashamed for doubting her. Eric ran toward the burning house again, trying to help trapped villagers. Smoke burned his lungs, and his hands shook from the heat, but he refused to stop. When he reached the broken doorway, he heard a child crying. He pushed inside, even though the flames were close to his arms. Outside, Lyria continued to fight. She grabbed a larger wild dragon by the neck and forced him upward. He roared angrily and struggled, but Lyria's strength grew with every moment. Something had awakened inside her, something powerful, something fierce. She was not only defending the village, she was defending Eric. The wild dragon bit her shoulder, and she cried out in pain. Blood spilled across her scales. She almost fell from the sky. Eric heard her scream even from inside the burning house. His heart jumped, but he kept moving. He lifted a broken beam off the trapped child and carried him toward the exit. When Eric stumbled outside with the crying child in his arms, he looked up again. Lyria was still fighting, but her movements had slowed. The larger dragon was pressing her down, forcing her toward the ground. The smaller one had recovered and was flying toward her again. "No," Eric whispered, his voice shaking. "Lyria, hold on." He put the child in the arms of a woman nearby and grabbed a bough from a fallen villager. He ran across the burning fields, through smoke and fear, and aimed at the smaller wild dragon. His hands were shaking badly, and he knew the arrow could not kill a dragon, but he hoped it could distract. He shot. The arrow struck the smaller dragon's neck. Not deep, not strong, but enough for the creature to turn in anger. It saw Eric standing below, exposed and alone. The wild dragon dived toward him with a furious scream. Eric froze. The ground shook under him as the huge creature rushed closer. He tried to raise the bow again, but the dragon was too fast. At the last moment, a golden blur crashed into the smaller dragon from the side. Lyria slammed into him with all her strength, sending both of them rolling across the sky. "Eric!" she shouted, her voice full of fear. The larger wild dragon flew toward her again. She had no time to rest. She dodged flame and claws, using her wings like shields even though they were torn and bleeding. Eric watched helplessly, his heart breaking with every second. Finally, Lyria turned toward the burning forest and let out a long, deep roar. Her body glowed with bright golden fire, much hotter and brighter than before. The air around her trembled. Eric had never seen anything like it. With one powerful strike, she released a massive wave of golden flame at the larger wild dragon. The fire hit him directly in the chest. He roared in pain, losing control. He swung wildly, his wings folding in panic. The huge creature crashed into the northern hills and did not rise again. The smaller dragon, frightened, tried to escape, but Lyria flew in front of him, blocking his path. She looked at him with fierce authority. The wild dragon shook in fear, then turned and fled far into the sky, disappearing into clouds. The village slowly became quiet again. The fires died down as villagers worked together to put them out. The air was filled with smoke, but no more dragon roars came from the sky. Lyria lowered herself to the ground, landing weakly. Her legs trembled. Blood dripped from her shoulder and wing. She looked exhausted, almost fainting. Eric ran to her as fast as he could. When he reached her, he placed his hands gently on her arm. "You're hurt," he said, worry breaking his voice. Lyria gave a faint smile. "You're alive. That is enough." He shook his head and held her hands tightly. "No, you matter too." She lowered her head, touched by his words. Villagers slowly approached, their faces full of guilt and gratitude. The same people who had shouted at her now bowed their heads. We were wrong," the village leader said. "You saved us. You saved our homes. You saved our children." Lyria did not speak. She simply nodded. She did not need their praise. Eric stood beside her, refusing to let go of her hand. That day changed everything. From that moment, the villagers no longer saw Lyria as a monster. They saw her as a protector, as someone who chose them even when they pushed her away. And for Lyria, something deep inside her heart changed too. She realized she wasn't just a dragon living in a human world. She wasn't just a bride from another clan. She was something new, someone who had fought not because she was forced, but because she cared. When the sun began to rise, Eric helped her sit near the well. He cleaned her wounds gently, and she watched him with soft eyes. "Why did you risk your life?" she asked quietly. Eric smiled. "Because you risked yours for all of us. Because you're not alone anymore." Lyria's heart warmed at his words. She knew now what they had become. Not just a human and a dragon, but partners. Something stronger than fear, stronger than tradition. A new kind of bond, a new kind of future, a new kind of partnership.